Hello and welcome to a game with Wallfly, Goddess Girl, and HPM playing G4, 5, 6, and 7 with the standard decks E, K, W, F. In this opening pack, I see Head of the Family and Job Seeker, both very strong cards. G7 card, Fire Marshal. You receive wood up to the number of stone you have in your supply in each harvest. It's an interesting card. Doesn't seem particularly strong to me. Yeah. I am a fan of Heretic, especially with Conservator in the pack. It's a very strong combo. You can Reno quickly to stone, and then you get to Reno to stone a second time. So essentially you get to skip clay twice. Is that as strong as Job Seeker? Probably not. Especially with no guarantee that Conservator will wheel. Yeah, Job Seeker is a very strong card. It allows you to take actions other than Ox early, and then once other people have played Ox, you can catch up. It's very similar to Educator, except costs way less food at the cost of not getting your Ox out as quickly, and you don't necessarily get all 7 Ox out, but I'm interested in doing fun things, so even though I think Job Seeker is probably going to be the strongest card, but I like doing interesting things in my game, so I'm going to take Heretic and hope to wheel Conservator. So things I'm looking forward to combo with Heretic. Obviously the ideal will be cards that combo with getting to stone, but don't necessarily need you to continue being in stone. So cards that put resources in the future, specifically Manservant and Silo Girl, as well as cards that require you to be in a stone house to play, such as Candy Room, expansion plans. Those are the main two. As well as just things that incentivize you to kind of focus on making non-room actions early, because the advantage of Heretic is you really don't need much for rooms. You essentially get 2 rooms for very little work, but the cost is you're gonna family grow later. So Head of the Family being in the game makes Heretic stronger because it relieves pressure on family grow. Uh, so, because the person with head of the family can grow whenever, it means that people will move through the grow queue faster. Um, well, here there are multiple stone cards, and pastor, all of which are very strong with heretic. The problem is scholar and officer aren't really combos with heretic, and they also make it less likely that conservator will wheel because the people in front of me have seen them. So the G7 card in the pack is Wool Merchant. It gives you a bunch of extra food on day labor, and not something I'm particularly interested in. This pack has a lot of options. Sailboat Constructor is just a very high-powered card. Getting me stone is interesting. It just gives you a lot of resources for food, even if you only buy 1 or 2 stacks. Getting, say, a grain and a vegetable and 3 wood, or a grain and a vegetable and 3 wood and 2 stone is very strong. Here, I think I'm going to take Scholar. Scholar is essentially a free action because I can just play it and then play Heretic off of it, and then when I run out of stone later in the game, I can maybe get another action or 2 off of the Scholar. So at the very least, it's somewhat free, and then if I wield something like Officer, it can also go up in value. I do like Pastor, and I do like Officer, but yeah, I'm just a big fan of Scholar in general. I think being able to play Ox is one of the stronger stone cards, as Occupation is an action that it's an actual action that you can just take, and you're willing to take it a lot of points in the game, whereas some of the other stone cards, like Manservant, you're not really happy to take 3 food as an action. And obviously some of the weaker ones, like Groom or Shepherd Boy, are even worse. Whereas Scholar is the one of the stone cards that just gives you basically a full action. G7 cards in this pack that I haven't seen are Warlock, discard for goods. Vegetable Man seems strong, but it's not something I'm interested in given I have Scholar. Crop Farmer seems very strong. Basically, it already gives you the action back for playing the Ock. It gives you a sow. So, for example, Landscape Gardener in the same pack is a card I like because playing it already replaces the draft. Or it already replaces the action of playing the Ock. Because, for example, if you're going to sow, you can just play the Ock instead, and then it gives you an additional bonus. And I think with my setup so far, a building resource is going to be better than the extra space for crops. Manufacture is a consideration, but I'm not a big fan of manufacture in general. I suppose that it's not terrible with Scholar because Scholar gives you a lot of improvement actions. But again, I don't know how quickly I'm going to get back into Stone after Heretic. Which is concerning, and if I do wheel Conservator, I'm not going to have any time in Clay to build improvements. So I'm just going to take the Crop Farmer because it seems very strong. This pack is very interesting. Late Bloomer is even more relief on Family Grow, but given Head of the Family it's in the draft, I'd be surprised if anybody even took Late Bloomer. Lady in Waiting is obviously a strong card. Clay Starter is very interesting if I know I'm not wheeling Conservator, but given I think there's a decent chance I wheel Conservator considering Job Seeker and Head of the Family were both in that pack, and they're both very strong cards. I think there is a decent chance. And so if I do wheel Conservator, taking Clay Starter is essentially burning a pick. And when there's a card as strong as Lady in Waiting in the pack, I don't think that's defensible. So I'm going to just take the strongest card here. And we did wheel Conservator, which is great. Now hopefully we wheel the Officer and do all the Stonehouse shenanigans. So obviously Head of the Family and the other card I mentioned, Job Seeker, did not wheel. I don't remember the other card in this pack that didn't wheel. So we'll have to try to remember that later in the draft. So Officer didn't wheel, which is reasonable. I wasn't super expecting it to wheel. Pastor is probably the best card here for us. This is a strong pack. Branch Collector would be fine. Sheep Farmer is fine, and Prudent Merchant is fine. These are all fine cards, but given we're planning on being in 2 rooms somewhat late, I think taking Pastor has to be the right call here. Feel free to say hello in chat. Let me know how the audio is. If you have any comments on the draft, I love talking about picks and plays. It is worth noting that Officer did not wheel, so we're going to have competition for renovation, but Conservator is going to help with that. It will mean that we only need 1 reno action to get to Heretic and Scholar. Lining up Pastor and Heretic is going to be difficult, but hopefully we can make it work. This is a difficult pack because none of these cards are very good to play off of Scholar, and we really want cards to play off of Scholar because we already have 2 offs we need to play early in Lady in Waiting and Conservator, and ideally we'd either play Pastor or Heretic with an action. Although it's possible we'll be able to play them both off of Scholar. So playing Kelp Gatherer off of Scholar is fine. It'll probably end up giving us a vegetable at some point. So I think that's the take. I'm just not a big fan of Glogden. It's very hard to get enough food to support it, especially given we're going to have 4 rooms and Lady in Waiting. I doubt we're going to have that much food. And Vegetable Man is almost completely useless, and Cattle Whisperer is going to be hard to get up, so Kelp Gatherer seems like the pick. So G7 card in this pack, Abandoned Well. When you play this card, you may immediately renovate your clay hut to Stonehouse for free. Not something we're at all interested in with Conservator. Doesn't seem like a very strong card in general, unless you have a way to build the well easily. Tide Mill. You can turn grain into 3 food at any time. Not a good conversion. 3 clay for 2 points is alright, though. So I don't believe Madonna Statue puts the improvements back in play. So I don't believe there's a chance for us to say return a major like the well and then rebuy it, even though that's not even a good conversion. There's nothing I'm super interested in here. I'm probably going to take Honeymoon just because it extends our point cap, which is something we may need because this seems like a high-powered draft. We don't have anything right now that extends our point cap, and we're going to be renoing early, so there's not a huge amount of opportunities to give us for late-game actions. It's essentially going to be plow and maybe taking animals, so 2 actions and 2 food for 5 points is a good deal, especially when we can play it off of Scholar. So in this pack, things I'm looking at, Peasant's Boutique is interesting because there's manufacture in the pack, or in the game, so we'll have to keep a lookout for that. Wooden Path is always strong, and Milking Bucket is decent. Just a stone for a point is decent, and it already gives you some food. Earth Fireplace is basically a fireplace for sheep only, and you can sometimes get more. It's interesting, but the card that stands out to me here is Custom Improvements. With Scholar, Scholar allows you to play minor or major improvements, so playing minors off of Scholar with Custom Improvements is going to give us points, as well as renoing, because we're going to be renoing early a lot of the times. You don't always have a chance to play a minor or a major with your reno, so you have to play a minor, and Custom Improvements is good for that. Plantation is not something we're interested in. Brewery isn't. Cloister is a strong card, but I am leaning towards taking Turnip Field here. Turnip Field is just an excellent card. It's excellent with Crop Farmer because it gives us a sow action, which gives us a building resource. I think it's definitely the strongest card here. And we definitely will be taking that. Cards I'm looking to wheel, I'd be happy to wheel Dual Field. It's just a decent card. Cloister would be a good wheel, although I don't think we will wheel it. And other than that, nothing super interesting. Farmland Sidon we might be able to play, but I'd be surprised if we have no unused spaces on our farm at the end of this game. We don't really seem to have that kind of setup. Wow. So this is an excellent pack. Animal Trap is very strong if you can guarantee you can build the well, but we cannot because we will be spending our stone early on renovations. Stone Axe is fine. Cookies is a good card, even though we're not baking, so we're not really interested in it. G7 card Lamb Stew. I believe this is a sheep and a vegetable for 10 food and a point, which is a decent deal, but we're not really interested in taking grain early, or sheep for that matter, and Diamond Mine is by far the best card in this pack. Just 2 stone for free, similar to Reed Pond and other cards. Oops. Definitely the strongest card. We want a lot of stone, so we will be taking this for sure. It fits exactly into our plan, and frankly, I'm shocked it got to us. So far, we don't have a minor we can play early. So I'm interested in Attic, especially since it allows us to up our point cap, and we won't have a ton of use for wood since we're not building any wood rooms. So this is definitely the card for us. Other cards, Abandoned Willow is not interesting because we're not going to have many plows. Yeah, it's an easy Attic, I believe. Transaction is interesting because it allows us to get stone early, which guarantees us a renovation. But yeah, I think Attic is easily the pick here. I'm surprised that the person with Manufacturer didn't take Peasant's Boutique. It's possible they're just assuming it will wheel, which is a fair assumption. And it's also possible that the Manufacturer went undrafted because that's certainly reasonable. Even with cards like Clay Starter and Officer in the pack, Manufacturer is just not a super strong card. We could take the Peasant's Boutique here because we don't really have use for excess reed, and we will have some excess reed because taking Reedstone Food is great for us because we want as much stone as we can get. Food Bank is probably not super interesting to us, although it does give us a use for 3 wood if we get stuck in 4th position. I don't think that's necessarily worth it. Bounty is interesting, but we already have Kelp Gatherer to try to get us at least 1 vegetable, and then we'll sow it to get more vegetables. And we don't have too many cards with point symbols, and we're not especially planning on building guilds, so it's mainly maybe 2 food for 2 vegetables if we get it up early, which is not that appetizing for me. Wild Greens is somewhat interesting. It can give us 1 or 2 food, and it's easy to play. But like I said, I think we'll have extra reed floating around, so Peasant's Boutique is the card I'm going to take. Especially since we don't have a great feeding strategy right now. So, and turning your reed into 4 food is a lot of food that could carry our harvest for a while if we can get it up early-ish. We really have no avenue to grain, so even though Bronze Oven is an okay card, we can't take it. We're going to take Kitchen Cabinet here, just because it's a reasonable effect. It makes it so custom improvements will basically always trigger when we play an improvement. And that's about it. But it's free, which means it could be a free point with custom improvements. And none of these cards are remotely interesting. It's going to be interesting this game because we really don't have cards or actions, that we're interested in taking early other than Reedstone Food, because really all we need is the reeds and stone to get to stone and 2 occupation actions in Lady in Waiting and Conservator. So I'll probably be spending a lot of actions on taking wood and plowing to set up early fences, or just to get plowing out of the way since we don't have a plow. Maybe taking clay to try to weasel into the first fireplace, because food is definitely going to be a concern this game. But ideally we want Reedstone Food as much as we can get it. So I'll probably be taking starting player here with my second action. My first action here is going to be Lady in Waiting, just because it doesn't signal anything to other people as to what's going on, since it's just always something you want to get up, and it's definitely, we want to play an occupation here. getting to play it for free is great since we weren't interested in taking 3-wood. We basically got a free food, so that's great. So Wallfly playing Job Seeker here. Not the best Job Seeker in general. You want to take other actions like Reedstone Food or 3-wood and let other people play occupations so that when you do eventually play your Job Seeker, it can trigger a bunch of times. But it's still fine. It's still a great card. This means that Goddess Girl almost certainly has Head of the Family because I think it was the third best card in that pack pretty clearly. Although, again, I don't remember what the fourth card to take was, so I could be wrong. Here we could take 2-wood, but like I said, I just really need to get on Reedstone Food, so I will be taking Starting and playing Attic. Sheep Coming makes me interested in trying to get a 2-clay grab at some point to build a fireplace, or a 4-clay grab for the cooking hearth. Again, because feeding, I believe, is going to be a concern this game. We don't really have a feeding strategy right now, but definitely our main concern is just setting up for renovation. So if 2 Reed comes back to me, I'll probably take it just because I am interested in buying basket makers to upgrade to Peasant's Boutique at some point this game, and it denies Reed from other people laying their family grow. Wallfly isn't going to play an Ock, so in order for 2 Reed to wheel, she would have to take 3-wood, so yeah, it makes sense that 2 Reed gets grabbed here. If Occupation wheels to me, I might just play the Kelp Gatherer just to try to get some food of some kind up, even though it does mean that we're gonna have not the best scholar, but that's okay. Farm school graduate, interesting, assuming that Goddess Girl took the Head of the Family to see if it's the first Ock played. Yeah, Wallfly saying Job Seeker likes the farm school graduate. I think that's somewhat true, although it actually isn't necessarily the most true because the Ocks come out pretty slow. But it does make it likely that you'll get to play all 7 Ocks with your Job Seeker, which is nice. HBM took 3-wood twice, looking like they're either looking to fence early or they're playing an alms game. Here we have to make a decision. We really don't want to play an Ock here because we need food. I'm most interested in either taking a 2-food action or taking 2 clay to try to buy a fireplace. I think we're going to angle for the fireplace. Again, feeding is just my biggest concern this game, given that Heretic Conservator is a strong combo that's going to make our our room building, our family growing very easy, so solving food is a main concern. Piggy Bank is another card that sucks food out of the game, so really feeding is going to be a huge concern. So I'm glad that we took the 2 clay. Hopefully, Goddess Girl does not build the fireplace in front of us. But if so, there's not a lot we can do about it. One risk of taking 2 clay here is if Goddess Girl does build the fireplace, this 2 clay kind of gets stranded with nothing to do, given we're skipping clay. I think it's likely that we might want to play pottery as well as the basket makers this game if the fireplace does get taken by Goddess Girl, just because it's going to be very difficult to use clay. If we don't take pottery, we'll basically have some number of clay stranded. Philanthropist is a card I like. It's very, very simple card. It gives you building resources and food. The thing I like about it is minor improvements with 1 point are some of the best minor improvements. I have Turnip Field and Diamond Mines, and there's more. Reed Pond, Duck Pond, Goose Pond, all of those cards are very strong. Figuring out what to do here is difficult. I really do want the fireplace. I don't have a starting player action. I think I'm just going to play knock just because it's the best action on the board. And it allows me to play a minor if it comes back to me, so I can go minor improvement into build fireplace and take sheep. Wallfly sucking up all the food, unfortunately, which means Goddess Girl will probably be taking starting. Or not. Looks like we get the fireplace. I'm surprised by that. Goddess Girl is going to have to day labor in order to feed the farm school graduate. So, assuming Goddess Girl did take the head of the family, it makes sense that she's positioning herself to build a room early. But yeah, feeding is going to be very, very tough for her. So, HBM took starting player. That's excellent for us. That means we can build fireplace without having to take starting. I'm not even sure what we do here. I think I just plow a field here. I'm going to have trouble plowing later in the game because I don't have any mechanism, no ox, or anything like that to help me plow, no ox or miners. So it's very nice to just get it out of the way early. Here we're definitely buying the fireplace. Getting this big influx of food, essentially enough for our next harvest, is going to be excellent. as well as preventing other people from the food and delaying their ability to take sheep a second time. So there might be 3 sheep in round 7 as well, which will definitely snap up because, again, we just want all the food we can get this game. That's going to be our main constraint. Looks like Goddess Girl is angling to buy pottery, which means if we play past her, we'll probably have Clay stranded. Restone food came back to us, which is actually very interesting. I think I'm just going to take that and assume that the sheep come back to us next round, because it's in order for them to not. Actually, there's no way for them to not unless somebody has a start player action that can cook sheep. There is the fireplace in the game, but the only person that could play that is Goddess Grill, and I'm sure if she had it, she would have start playered with it last round, so I'd be very surprised if she had it and I get sheep swept. So I think it's safe for me to restone food here. It is a little bit risky, but given how badly we want redstone food, I think it's worth it. And Goddess Girl would also have to give up on her occupation in order to do that. I think it's likely that she day labors here, because losing out on a farm school graduate occupation is very rough. Wallfly builds, which makes sense. HBM getting 6 wood here is good for them. Stonecutter. Interesting. That means there's going to be competition for some of our majors, maybe. But I'm not too worried. Is there a chance that Goddess Girl takes the sheep or renovation? Maybe. Well, there's no chance anybody takes the sheep, so we should just renovate with our first action. Take the sheep with our second. Might as well get custom improvements out right now, get some points up. So we have multiple Ox we want to play here. We want to play Scholar to get out Heretic, and then we also want to play Pastor ideally because 3 wood, 2 clay, 1 reed, 1 stone is a good action for us. I'm interested to see if Goddess Girl actually has Head of the Family and is just waiting to play it till around 7 in general. I would think getting it up in round 4 is ideal, so I think there's a chance that she passed it to HVM. Trying to remember what else was in that pack that had to do with major improvements. Yeah, here we're obviously taking the 4 sheep with our second action. Definitely don't want to risk them getting taken by anyone, and we need the food to play occupations anyways. Wallfly placing the room here, obviously for Cloister. Remembering Piggy Bank is going to be important. Hopefully doesn't jack our BMW. Anything other than that, I'm not super worried about. In retrospect, I think it's possible I should have played Cooking Hearth off of the renovation instead of custom improvement. It would have allowed me to prevent HBM from buying Cooking Hearth like he did here. And additionally, it would no, that's the main advantage. It does just get it out of the way in case somebody else is angling to buy a Cooking Hearth, because I would like a Cooking Hearth at some point this game. But I do like getting custom improvements out here. Just because, especially with Kitchen Cabinet in play and Scholar, I think there's a good chance it can be a lot of points this game. So getting it out as early as possible for the most amount of points is nice. Just extending my point cap. One thing to keep in mind is trying to grab wood when I can, now that I have my room set up. Yeah, it's going to be important to get wood up because fencing is one of the best avenues to points if you can fence early and take animal pairs, and since we don't really need wood for anything else, we should be able to fence early. Wallfly playing Plowman off of Job Seeker, only for 2 fields, but it's still a perfectly reasonable card. Wallfly having to day labor this round is unfortunate, but it makes us super happy to have gotten 4 sheep. Goddess Girl played at Greenhouse, which is very interesting. I missed out on that. I imagine Goddess Girl probably has Head of the Family and is just planning to play it in round 7, given that she didn't really try to build a room at all here. One interesting thing we could do here is just try to cut food from Wallfly. Wallfly needs a lot of food between the harvest and piggy bank, so if somebody takes one of the 3 foods here, I'm going to be very tempted to take the other one. Just put everybody else in a rough position. It'll make it possible for me to get the first family grow. It's looking like we're going to have to give up on pasture. There's just a lot of competition. Not a lot of competition for building. Nobody's building, so in order to get out pasture, we'd have to wait way longer than preferable on Clayhead extension here is interesting. It means that Goddess Girl is angling for the next grow, but that's not necessarily going to work out for her. Here we can either try to push in, we can take starting, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. Polymorph Master is interesting. It means there's a sudden influx of food into the game. Now we have the decision. We can either try to push in on Family Grow by taking starting player here and playing Scholar, or we can just let people grow in front of us and deal with it and try to gain advantages by taking wood, maybe taking food, and setting up for the long-term game. Oh, I never added my lady in waiting. One advantage of waiting is I would get to play Pastor. And it would give me an additional Scholar trigger, so I do think that's decent. I think I'm going to try that. So take Reedstone Food here, trying to set up for basket makers later. And then second action will be Scholar. Wallfly playing Lumberyard, which is a very good card, especially when she needs food as bad as she does. I'm interested to see exactly what goes down with food, because Goddess Girl also really badly needs food. There's going to be a lot of wood in this game since Goddess Girl renovated to clay without building, and I'm heriticking for both my rooms, so I'm not too worried about giving up on wood right now. There should be plenty of wood to take later, unless people build an obscene amount of rooms, which might happen with Head of the Family. Head of the Family definitely makes it so there's less wood in the game in general. Kelp Gatherer would have been strong this game, considering there's been a shortage of food. People would want to be fishing a lot for that extra food, so it would have been a decent number of veggies. Wow, Educator here from HBM. That's brutal. I was expecting HBM to build a room here. This is a very strange Educator play. I've never seen Educator played this way. I need to think now. I obviously was hoping to play Scholar there. Maybe that was a mistake, because there's a decent chance Redstone Food would have made it back to me. But it did kind of tip my hand, so I wasn't super excited about it. I guess now is just the time to take wood. There's nothing better on this board. We could take food to take it away from Wallfly, but Wallfly is interested in playing Lumberyard anyways. Getting 2 food is better than the 1 extra food from trialing players. HBM doesn't really need food. Goddess Girl does need food, so we hurt her game, but I'm not super worried about competing with her, so I'm just going to take 4 wood. Obviously, if Wallfly does take traveling players instead of day labor here, Goddess Girl is going to be in extremely rough shape. No, instead going for Earth Fireplace, possibly taking the sheep next action, although 6 wood will be on the board. HBM playing that Auk there really hurt us. But such is Agricola. We took a risk by taking Redstone Food. Yeah, I might have to give up on Pastor at this point, just with HBM completely ignoring building. If HBM takes 6 wood here, it's going to be interesting. There's a chance he doesn't build rooms with his second action. There is a chance he takes 3 reed to try to buy, to try to double build, in which case we don't even need to take starting. We can just play Heretic off of our Scholar and we'll be fine, which is obviously good for us. HBM thinking about taking 6 wood here. Very surprising, considering he can't really jump in Family Grow anyways. I have to imagine 6 wood is the best. Taking reed. Very, very interesting. We definitely will take 6 wood. Very good. Way too good to pass up. And if HBM jumps us, in the family grow queue, that's fine because we just get Pastor out in addition to Heretic. One thing that's a bit concerning is trying to get all our family grows out before Lady in Waiting comes in is going to be a bit challenging. It's looking like Wallfly might try to build basket makers here, although I have to imagine she'll build the well. The well is just so much better than all the others, and considering the cattle grain cattle well card was in the drafts, there's a chance that she has that. Got a girl playing Milking Bucket, which is great with Stonecutter. So HBM indeed angling for multiple rooms. He's gonna get a bit blown out by my Heretic, but such is life. Wallfly's job seeker is about to people talking about how to play Farm School Graduate in the chat. Hair peeler from HBM. Not great for me because I'm not really interested in taking starting player with Scholar, putting out a bunch of Ox. So I'm not really going to get the big wood grabs that Hair Peeler allows for. There's going to be a ton of clay in this game, so if somehow I can swoop in on pottery, that would be excellent, but it's going to be difficult with Stonecutter and Wallfly having 2 stone and Piggy Bank, and there being a lot of actions. Wallfly building the well, which makes sense. Now, hopefully we just keep our basket makers safe. Would be a bummer to not get it. There's manufacturer from Goddess Girl, so she did have it. Very interesting. I wonder where the head of the family ended up. It's possible Goddess Girl has it and is just using it for the round 11 or the round 12 or 13 family grow without room. So now I play my Heretic. Yeah, food is going to be a major concern. We very much want to make sure we can buy basket makers here. Reformer from HBM, fine Ock, but nothing special. There's really going to be a struggle for food in this game. Pear Peeler will alleviate some of that, but yeah, it's going to be rough. I really need this basket makers, so luckily it looks like Goddess Girl is planning on buying joinery. Here I will start player with kitchen cabinet. This guarantees me my family grow next round, and it also will let me buy basket makers with my family grow if it doesn't get bought, which I would be surprised if it did. I think Goddess Girl would go for joinery first. I forgot to attic. Hopefully they'll allow me to do it. Just I don't think anything changes. Turning one wood into 1 point is a decent conversion, so we definitely want to do that. Goddess Girl taking Reedstone food is worrying me. It's possible that she'll try to buy basket makers here, which would be a okay. That was a complete brain fart on my part. I forgot that HBM could just build or family grow with their second action. Now figuring out what I'd have to do. Probably take 2 stone. Being able to get back into stone quickly is important, and it also will let me family grow with basket makers next turn. But yeah, that was a pretty colossal mistake on my part. if basket makers get spot here, we're going to be in basically unrecoverable trouble. Yeah, that was probably a game-losing mistake. Yep. Goddess Girl buying BMW. Very, very, very unfortunate. I'm really shocked that she didn't take Basket Makers or Peasant Boutique and draft with Stonecutter Manufacturer. But yeah, that's a huge, huge problem for us. Uh, yeah, we're very screwed here, I think. Things we have going our way is we have a very high point cap, and we do have a decent game just from Lady in Waiting and we're going to have 4-stone rooms. We're going to have custom improvements and attic points, but yeah, we're going to be in very big trouble here. Just trying to get everything together. We might have to buy joinery just to feed, because we're really, really going to struggle to feed otherwise. So it's very unlikely that these boards wheel. HBM will probably take them, given that he knows we can't take starting. Yeah. If Goddess Girl doesn't buy joinery here, I definitely will, but I think there's a decent chance that Goddess Girl buys joinery. Yeah, there's just no way these boars make it to us. I guess there's a chance that HVM plays it super safe, but I would be very surprised. Um, oh, I forgot. I have kitchen cabinet, so I can start player joinery here and still be able to feed, which is excellent. It means I'm going to get a family grow again. Yeah, joinery is so much worse than basket makers for us here. It's very unfortunate that this is the way it played out. Sorry about the intermittent black screens. I think it has to do with me alt-tabbing, but I'm not. It's hard to get out of practice of alt-tabbing since I'm so used to it. I'll try to just keep everything on screen in the future. Hopefully that issue will not continue. Um, I might not play a miner here, which would be a problem. Oh, I can play Cooking Hearth on my family grow, which is good, but it's really gonna be uh, a struggle. Like I've said from the outset, just everything about this game is going down to feeding. There's so many cards that suck food out of the game. Another important thing is we need 10 food for the round 12 harvest because we need to be able to pay for our lady in waiting. So we're really just going to have to take a ton of food. Layout from HVM, very nice. Although it doesn't mean his boars don't breed, so it's not the greatest, but it is still a good amount of food in a game with no food. This is an interesting interaction I haven't seen before. So, Layout says you don't take part in the harvest. Farm school graduate is played in the harvest. I don't know exactly what Layabout entails. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, so my understanding, I don't believe you can use Educator in the Harvest with Layabout. So here we obviously just family grow. Yeah, feeding is really going to be difficult. But we do have the most actions. We do have a high point cap. So we are in decent shape if we can feed, but that's a big F. So we might just renovate here. Um, we won't have a good improvement to play, which is unfortunate. So maybe we shouldn't. Playing this honeymoon is going to be very difficult with as little wood as there in this game, or as little food, excuse me. Um, so I could take two stone and Reno as my actions to try to get Scholar online, but then I can't even play an Aqu with Scholar, so that's not looking good. Should probably plow with one of my actions and take a 3 food action with the second. We also have joinery, I forgot, so we only need 8 food. So if we can get like 2 boar or 2 sheep and then another food action, that should be enough. Although trying to get Scholar up does complicate it. Oh, hello and goodbye, Hunter's mom. Didn't see you in chat there, sorry about that. Ideally, I would be looking to fence quickly, but given how little food there is in this game, being able to take an animal pair and just not eat it and have it breed is looking unrealistic. So I don't really see the need to fence right away. So I'm gonna focus more on that. Just getting food and plowing here is nice because it's a way to get points, other than trying to like force my way in by taking 2 wood actions. There's a chance I take Reedstone food here for the last stone to renovate, even though I don't need the Reed, just because the food might be more useful to me than extra stone to maybe build clay oven. Oh yes, I forgot Gilder is also going to be very annoying this game. It's going to cut even more food out of this game. We definitely need to take a 3 food action here. But But yeah, this is going to be a struggle. Officer, again, is another food card that cuts food out of this game, so it's getting really tight here. We will probably be able to reno to Turnip's Field if renovation doesn't get taken next round, which is nice. It'll let us sow our veggie. We would have liked to have Crop Farmer up before it, but again, Crop Farmer is fine in that it just gives you a sow action, and that's good enough on its own. Any extra building resources are kind of a bonus. Another option is to play Crop Farmer here to get the sow and the stone to reno, but that basically makes our scholar worthless. We can play a Kelp Gatherer with it. We can play Honeymoon with it, but yeah, I don't think playing Crop Farmer without the scholar is worthwhile, considering we'll be able to play it for free at some point. God's Girl fencing here makes sense. She's gonna want to fence 14 anyways, just because her home is sparse, but she's struggling for food. She does not have a food to trigger Officer right now, so it's possible that the 3 food off traveling players gets taken, which would be a big problem for us. As much as we would like to take a forward action here, it's likely we might have to first action take the sheep just to guarantee we have enough food. Our ideal actions next round would be sheep, Reedstone food, renovation, and a wood action, but even then leaves us 1 food short of being able to play an occupation off of Scholar next round. So yeah, this is a struggle. Although we only need 1. We don't need 3 Scholar actions. We have Honeymoon and Crop Farmer right now, and we're planning to play Turnip Field off of renovation. So that's actually not a problem that we can't use Scholar next round. So those would be a good 4 actions if possible. Yeah, with how little food is in this game, I think we definitely have to take food here. So Goddess Girl wants a cow to trigger Milking Bucket, but Wallfly has a lot of use for sheep, and Goddess Girl also wants sheep. So I think I'm gonna take the sheep first just because they're more in demand, and even HVM wants sheep just to be able to breed them. So we'll take that. Yeah. Wallflower with family growing makes sense. I imagine Goddess Girl is going to be taking the cow here, but I don't know how Goddess Girl is planning on feeding. Right now, she has 4 food. day labor would cover her harvest supposedly, but even still, that doesn't leave enough room for a guest next round. She needs to start plowing. I think if a cow comes back to me, I have to take it just because it cuts food out of the game. Much needed food that is also useful for me. Yeah, and Goddess Girl plows. It's also possible I should take Reedstone food. Try to sow this veggie right now. HPM. Peeled pears. I would like a wood action, but I'm not gonna lose sleep over not getting one. Actually, there's a lot of wood in demand right now, surprisingly. I guess Wallfly building another room cut wood out of the game. Interesting. Oxgoad was played and HBM did not take a cow with Gelder and Oxgoad. I'm honestly shocked at that. I think I'm going to take Reedstone food here. Just try to set up my feeding as much as possible. Ideally, I'll take a veggie or a grain and then renovate to turnip field. Wallfly taking wood makes sense, but that's fine. HBM also might renovate, but what can you do? I'm not sure whether I should take a veggie or a grain here to try to sow off of turnip field. Veggie is obviously more points, or more food, but the grain allows me more points. Given that food is really the biggest concern here, I think it has to be a veggie, but it is close considering I'm already getting to sow a veggie. Interesting. Goddess Girl taking a grain. I really don't know what to make of that. It's possible she's gonna try to build an oven, but that's gonna be difficult. Assuming she has the 6, the 2 stone, 2 clay oven that bakes it into 6. That's what makes the most sense here, but even still, she'll have to wheel major minor or starting player. I guess she'll wheel major minor, but getting starting player isn't super exciting. So here I could just take the cow that everybody is seemingly ignoring, even though I think it's a great action for both Goddess Girl and HPM, so it's very weird that they're just not taking it. Taking a veggie is more food overall, but it's also riskier. What is Wallfly likely to do? So Wallfly might take starting player. Wallfly might Reno. I guess what am I doing if Reno doesn't wheel? If Reno doesn't wheel, I'd be wanting to take a cow anyways, so maybe I should just take the cow now and say it's okay if Reno doesn't wheel. I think I'm gonna do that. Just minimize my risk. Taking a veggie is better than taking a cow if I know Renovation's wheeling, but it's a bit of a disaster if Renovation doesn't wheel. I'm not really interested in taking 3 wood here because there is a decent chance I get 6 wood. Or at the very least 4 wood next round. Wallfly takes start player. Reasonable. Sausage grinder is interesting given that Wallfly's only way to cook animals is still the sheep fireplace. Also interesting that Wallfly is not gonna be able to trigger Boarlord basically at all this game. Wallfly's still going for Piggy Bank. I suppose Stone Oven probably isn't getting built, but yeah, a bit odd. HBM renovating with pumpkin trellis, I assume, which makes me very glad that I took the cow. I guess the other option was to excuse me, to renovate first and then take the cow with my second action, but I think there was a good chance that Goddess Girl took the cow. Here I have to think. So I have 9, 10, 11 food right now, so I have enough food for basically everything, but taking a vegetable gives me a lot of food for the next harvest, which I'm going to need. Is there a chance I wheel 6 wood, get 6 wood next round? Not super high, honestly, so maybe I should just take 3 wood right now. I think HVM would take 6 wood, given that HVM doesn't have a lot better to do. Goddess Girl is probably going to take the cows, or the boars, and yeah, 6 wood, I imagine, will be the best left on the board. And I'm going to have extraneous actions next round. I'm going to have 5 actions, so I can take 4 wood, I can take a veggie, I can take a grain, and I can renovate. All of those work. Yeah, so I will take the wood. I misplaced my fields a little bit. This field should be above my house because I was never really planning on building a 5th room this game. So I should have left myself the ability to fence 9. That was probably a mistake, but I think there's a good chance that I would have that I'm going to plow another field, so I don't think it's a mistake that will end up costing me. Alright, so Goddess Girl did have the head of the family. Interesting head of the family game. Goddess Girl is really, really depending on Family Girl flipping in 12 for her game to be decent. We do have quite the action advantage here. Although it is going to be a bit awkward. Just because we don't have a lot of things we want to do. But just taking 3 food actions in vegetable and grain should be alright. Wallfly saying she should have played Sailboat Constructor instead of Warlord. One thing I have to keep my eyes out for is getting blocked on fencing. There's obviously plenty of time left. But since I will be in stone, assumedly, there will be only one fence action in round 14. Ideally, I'll fence before then, but just need to make sure I do. Yeah, so as I figured, Goddess Girl taking the boar, Wallfly taking the round 13 action. Well, there goes the wood, so now I guess my best action is plowing, because it's what lots of other people need to do. And it allows me more room for crops. The 2 points for plowing is the same as 3 wood is generally 2 points. Sometimes it's even less, I believe. There's a couple break points where it's more. But given that I have crops that I want to sow and any animals I take I'm going to eat, I'm not going to have room for holding and breeding them. Plowing is better than taking 3 wood for me. And there's also more competition for plowing again, so it's just far better. Wallfly taking 3 stone. Does not have enough clay right now to renovate to the clay oven, but we'll probably renovate to stone oven and try to piggy bank the clay oven, because there's a lot of stone in this game. There's a chance I am not able to play Honeymoon this game, but we'll have to see. Ideally, I'd be playing it next round, but yeah, it's going to be difficult. We don't really have food to afford it. That cow going is a big blow in terms of food economy. I guess HBM already had a sheep. I missed that. Oh, I assume he got it from Warlock. But here we just need to take a veggie. Wallfly's probably going to run out here, but we need to be able to get these veggies sown. So, yeah, there's not much we can do about it. We'll just probably give up on Honeymoon. Wallfly taking the wood, which makes sense. Wallfly is running out of good actions, so if we want to sow here, this is probably the time. We will have to day labor or take 2 food traveling players if we want to get Honeymoon up, which I think is probably worth it, given that we're going to be kind of low on ways to get points. And it also is an extra point. getting the grain before sowing would be excellent here, but it would prevent us from playing honeymoon anyways, so I think I'm fine just sowing our 2 vegetables here. Wallfly will probably day labor actually, but I think it's a bit too big of a risk to assume that she will. At this point, we're just feeding and taking wood defense. There's nothing else we really need. We need to take 1 grain at some point, but it's not too much of a worry. Yeah, as I suspected, wallfly day laborers, which means we're sort of forced into traveling players. Yeah, I'm interested to see how exactly this game goes. Wallfly has a decent amount of improvement points, and we'll be able to reno. I think Wallfly's our main competition. HBM is looking okay. HBM is the only one with animal points, but not a ton of improvement points or occupation points. So, yeah, I'm mainly worried. I forgot to take my lady in waiting. Peep. I think I've done that before with Lady in Waiting. It's just hard to keep track of because you just have to place a peep right into your house. It's weird. I mean, I had the marker to remind me. I just forgot. I'd really like to take a cow here, but I think there's a good chance Goddess Girl takes it. Did Goddess Girl not Family Girl last harvest? Or last round? Oh, she did. Her peep just wasn't showing up. That makes sense. Taking clay, interesting. Possibly trying to buy the clay oven, but I don't know how successful that's going to be. Oh, there goes the cow. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 food, and I need 11, so I need 2 food. That's fine. I think there's a decent chance that I'm able to wheel at least 1 2 food action. I think taking wood is more important right now. I said before that taking 3 wood is worse than plowing a field, but I do think taking 4 wood is probably better. Wallfly playing the fireplace. It's interesting, given she has pottery. I was expecting her to buy stone oven, especially since there's so much stone just sitting out. Oh, there goes the other fireplace. Yeah, people are really, really struggling to feed. Plowing is reasonable here if HPM doesn't do it, but I might have to take a 3-food action. I think it's reasonable to expect 1 3-food action wheels at least. So I'll get plows out of the way since they're my main avenue to points. HPM taking starting player is nice. It makes it safe for me to fence next round. I don't really need to plow sow since I'm going to be able to sow with my crop farmer. Wallfly taking reedstone food is interesting. I wonder if there's a miner in play for that. Oh, I forgot about Sailboat Constructor. So she has 3 clay coming if she wants, and 2 stone. I'm still not exactly sure what exactly she's using reedstone food for, because she would need to buy both the clay and the stone in order to buy stone oven. I suppose she could just buy the clay and buy clay oven now and then piggy bank the stone oven, but I'm not sure. God's girl really struggling for food. Luckily, she didn't take vegetable, which is one of the best food actions for me and for other people. And she blocked Wallfly's day labor. The stone axe is a bit concerning. Could be a problem to if HBM takes wood here. I would prefer to be able to get this 3 wood, but that's probably my fault. I think I still could have wheeled one of these 3 food actions. But in general, you just want to make sure you're safe on food, because taking begging cards is a big disaster. Yeah, HBM grabbing the wood, possibly peeling pears, excuse me. So HVM has no way to renovate next round. So I think I might have to fence here, just because it could be a bit of a train wreck if I don't get a chance to fence. On the bright side, if Wallfly fences, HVM probably doesn't have to fence with their first action. On the negative side, I think I want the food too bad, just because there's such little food in this game. If Wallfly fences, then they fence. given I have joinery, it's not the end of the world to get blocked on fences. Although it would be a problem. I'll survive. Always take care of food first. What did Wallfly take? A grain. It's fair. Wallfly mistaking officer guest for a farm school graduate guest. Yeah, here I just have defense. Have to keep in mind, excuse me. Honeymoon, so I have 2 less actions next round. So I want to be able to sell 1 veggie next round, so I should just eat the pig. I'm guessing Goddess Girl is not playing a farm school graduate Ock here, given she's so strapped for food. Yeah, she did not. So worst case scenario, I can just eat 3 veggies and a grain for food. So I'm good for food. I just need to get points here. Plow gets taken. 6 wood is the best way. 2 points. Will 6 wood wheel. Honestly, I might. It threatens fencing, so both Wallfly and HBM have to fence. Because if I take 6 wood, at least they should. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm thinking about if I should plow. So plowing is a 2-point action. I can just take 2 animals, so I should take the 6 wood. It is the safest move. Because it is my best point action. It allows me to give up 2 food for 1 point, which is better than the conversion I'm getting on veggies. And given that my breakpoint is perfect, oh, actually it's not. I have 2 food left over, or 1 food left over. So actually, taking the wood there was not correct, I don't believe. It's just another 2-point action. I forgot I had 1 wood in my supply. Yeah. Obviously, we're not whaling plow because Goddess Girl will take it if she can. So hopefully we get 2 animal grabs. Wallfly, run a fencing. So now I have to think about fencing. Fencing is 3 points. And I lose 3 points. But I do get to eat a wood for an extra point. So fencing is only a 1-point action. It blocks HBM. Do I think I'm competing with HBM? I believe that I'm beating HBM. I think I'm competing with Wallfly more, so I think I should just take the best point actions. Should take the sheep, because that is what Wallfly wants more. Yep, there goes the boar. So I believe taking a grain is a 1-point action. Taking a veggie is a 1-point action. Either of those are acceptable. Oh, well, there goes grain. So I'm getting a 1-point action. Maybe HBM won't fence here. Yeah, he's taking Redstone food to guarantee his rent house, so I can make him sad. Oh, no, he changed his mind. That's fair. I'll take a veggie, harvest all, eat 3 veggies as my harvest. Yeah. I'm not sure who's winning this game. Wallfly's farm looks pretty good. She has well and clay oven and fireplace. Yeah, her getting first family grow without basically any competition ended up being pretty good. And job seeker. Yeah, definitely hindered my game by not growing. Giving up an action for basically nothing is pretty disastrous. let's look at my score. So we have 41 plus 6, 47. Not especially good, but I believe this is a low scoring game. Yeah, it looks like we'll be able to get there. HBM has, yeah, I think we got there, but close call. It looks like Goddess Girl didn't family grow last round. Oh, I forgot about Cloister. Cloister from Wallfly might take it over the edge. 3 more points. So, I'm not sure how Wallfly is feeding. Might have to eat another point to get to the 10 food. Only 43 from Wallfly. That is lower than I expected. Wow, 52 from HBM. Great score from him. I wonder how that score jumped up so quickly. 43, so Wooden Path, Ox Goad. I'm not sure why. Oh, that's just from minors. 43 plus 9, 52. Yeah, makes sense. That's what giving him a free family grow does. But such is life. It's one good thing about Agricola. People get punished for their mistakes. No freebies. Alright. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think of. Oh, last second points for Goddess Girl. Don't think it's enough to change positioning at all, but it's a good 2 points, I think. Alright, thanks for watching. I believe I get second in this game to HEM. Congrats to them. And I will see you next time.